Hello, everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Living Life as Lassa. I am Mark Lassalandra, and today I am very blessed. I have a local artist who has come to visit me. His name is Will Brady, and first off, I admire his artwork tremendously, and even more, I admire him as a friend. So I have a few questions I've been meaning to ask him, which I'm going to do now. Will,
Thanks, Mark.
you're very welcome,
Glad to be
young
here.
man. You're very welcome. I got a few. Oh, here's my theme music. Will. It's got a little.
Walk, don't run.
It's got a little Inagata Davida beat on there, you know. But anyway, so much for that. So, I tell you, Will, he's a solid guy. You're such a solid guy that you inspire steel beams to look for their Viagra bottles. But anyway, we'll see how that joke goes. Will, first thing I want to ask you is, why is it Will and not William,
Oh, it's just shortened.
Bill, or Billy?
Just shortened it to Will.
It's Will.
So it would look on a Wyckoff football jacket back
Oh,
in '92.
Wyckoff.
Yeah, it was just
And Will.
Will, shortened for William.
Isn't that something? Isn't that something? And now I've been thinking about this for a long time, Will. What sort of person is attracted to the Garbage Pail Kids?
Garbage Pail Kids? Well, I'm a Generation X, which is born 1965 to 1980.
Right.
So I was around in like 85, and those were popular. And it was my first interest in looking at artistic things on a card.
Yeah.
You know, the humor and the colors. And
Right.
So it's like a Generation X thing for me. I like the Garbage Pail
Okay.
Kids.
It was a takeoff on the Cabbage Patch
Yeah,
Kids, I
Cabbage
think.
Patch Dolls
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
80s, yeah.
All right. Who and or what inspires the artwork that you create?
The people that I come across, popular culture brands of things, like going back to the Gen X, I grew up in a time, and it's going to be, probably an American tragedy, the cigarette culture.
Yeah.
So like I have a poem that I used all cigarette brands that are words. So it's called Now, More, Basic, True, Misty. So that's the whole poem.
Cool.
Those 5 things, and they're all words.
Yeah.
But and I think it's getting less and less in culture, but that was
Yes.
huge. I mean, growing up in the 90s, you'd see the brands and the colors.
Yep.
So that inspires me. And like I have another short poem, musical artists that are one syllable, and it's Rush, Beck, Tool, Nas, Fish, and that's the whole thing.
I got one to add to that. Prince.
He's another one, but just one word artist.
Right.
So that inspires me, and a lot of dates. I'm constantly going over like timelines in my life that I put down in my books, and like I brought a book here, like Part 02. That was a boss I had in the pastry kitchen, and he used to say, always put your work second and put your art first. He said that, and another guy I work with is Anthony, and but just
It's a calling.
yeah, I just write down names of towns, Jersey,
Right.
North Jersey. I was a delivery guy for a lot of years. Like these are all the years Clue came out, Monopoly, Shoots and Ladders,
I'm
Battleship.
gonna put this up to the camera.
No,
Hopefully I can capture some of this over here. But yeah, this is what I really like. To me, it's very quirky, but it's very local, and it's definitely Jersey.
Yeah, thank you.
All righty.
So.
Yeah. So, is there a new medium of artwork that you would be interested in trying?
Yeah, there is. It's one thing to make the art, and it's another thing to distribute the art. You have something, and so I've sold a few pieces. I like to give pieces away to people, even at like gas stations and stores. Just to
Give peace a chance.
yeah, shuffle the energy around, because they have like the stock. So that's what I've been working on recently. And things like this, interviewing is a totally different medium. I think it's great, like the video. So those are 2 things.
Yeah, get it out there. Let people discover what you do, because to me it's very inspiring. My next question was, and I think you've answered this. Would you say you have a persistent theme in your artwork? And you were mentioning about pop culture disappearances of aspects of a pop culture. Would you say that?
Yeah,
That's your
so
theme?
the cigarettes is big, and my father was a big. He would watch movies. He would never watch the TV, and it was
Mm-hmm.
always Ben Hur,
Ah,
Godfather, Spartacus, Apollo 13. Wizard of Oz. These
the
classics.
classics,
The
yeah.
classics. So I grew up every time I'd go down in the den, he'd be watching those.
Sure.
So, dates when Ben
Yeah.
Hur was 59.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so that had a big influence.
That's a good point because back when, and I'm a little bit older than you, but these movies like Ben-Hur that would come out on television once a year around Easter time,
Right.
and people would be glued to their TV sets watching that, as well as The Wizard of Oz, which I don't know, might have come out in the spring, but that was a once a year deal. And this is before VCRs or anything like that. So if you missed it, you missed it. People were glued to the TV sets. It was an event.
Yeah, the other one, what was it, Ten Commandments comes
The
out?
Ten Commandments as well.
And it reminds me at the pastry kitchen, that one scene in Ten Commandments where they're the slaves, they're in the straw and the mud.
Oh, yes.
And that reminds me in the pastry kitchen when I'm at the mixer, because I'm getting, buttercream all over my shoes. And so it reminds me of that. So it's inspirational, and it helps me sort out where I'm at as an artist and what's going on.
Very interesting. Huh. I had a question. What form of common culture do you remember? And I think you've answered this too, but you can elaborate on that. That is disappearing and that you miss or will miss. You mentioned about the cigarettes.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Okay, yeah, as harmful as they were to
Right, it was a thing.
society, it was a big part of culture. I can remember the jingles as well. But anything else you could think of?
Probably the no phones.
The no phones.
The no phones, because I was, like I said, I was born in 1980, so I'm a generation that knows, the cord on the wall.
Yep,
and,
the push button phone.
Push button phone.
Yeah.
And then like around 2001, the phones came out.
That
2008, the iPhones came
Exactly.
So.
And I can remember as a youngster, rotary phones that you dialed, and I always joke, I say, if you're really ticked off at somebody, now we could just send a nasty text or whatever like that, or put something on social media. But back when, if you were going to call someone up and tell them off, you'd be there. By the time you get done dialing, you're like, hey, the heck with this. Yeah, I know.
That's funny.
Yeah. Now moving away, moving away from the visual arts, what's your favorite sound?
Oh God, my first sounds, and I wrote this in something I called the autobio, were probably in the early 80s, were The Who, Behind Blue Eyes.
Oh.
And I'd be a little kid, my father would be at the dining room table having a few drinks, and I can remember, no one knows what it's like to be the bad man. And as a 5-year-old, I'm thinking, oh, the sad man and the bad man.
Wow.
So that was my first, and he used to like Motown and the Four Tops. I remember hearing
sounds
that.
like me.
And one time I was on my bunk bed, and he came home late at night.
Yeah.
And he blasted the Police, Material World.
Yeah.
That first song.
Yeah.
When that first starts,
yeah,
that
late
sound.
70s, right.
I mean, hearing that as a little kid, that was amazing.
Wow.
To hear the Police for the first time.
Yeah.
So those are sounds.
So your dad had a very eclectic taste in music.
Yeah.
I'm like that as well.
Records.
Wow. That is so cool.
They were all from 73.
Yeah.
That was like
good year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely moving away from art, sort of.
No, that's all good. It's all tied in.
What is your least favorite food?
My least favorite food?
Yeah.
I like spicy food, and I sweat when I eat spicy food. Even if I think of spicy food, I can sweat. I stay away from mushrooms, like slimy mushroom. Yeah. I'm not really into,
Gotcha. Somebody would have to pay you to.
Yeah, I'm not big on mushroom. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Tell me a little bit about the work that you're doing as far as the local
Well, I've been at the company almost 19 years.
Wow.
And it's flexible because it gives me time. I know another question you had asked, what's my favorite time of day? When I come in the morning and they'll have me doing a task like cutting cookies or something, I'll take a piece of paper from the copy machine, I'll put it down, and I'll usually start out with like a timeline, like when I'm working, where it's safe. Like I'm lucky they didn't tell me to be a butcher because holding a butcher knife, you can't really write. But in pastry, you can kind of,
isn't that something?
you know, it's a little safer. So,
would you say you're a morning guy?
Morning, yeah. In morning, I'm clear in the morning,
Clear-headed.
Usually. Yeah. And in 1 and 3 in the afternoon, I get a little tired, and then at 4 or 5, I perk up again. But yeah, I like the morning.
19 years. Now, I would say that nowadays that is very. It's rare that somebody is that consistent.
Yeah,
at
I've just stayed there. Yeah. 2006. So.
What is your favorite aspect of that job?
Well, it's good old-fashioned American work. You load the truck up. You take this stuff out of the truck. You're making mixes. You have to go drive to Lakeview Farms in Hawthorne. I get a little break. Right. You get the coffee going all day. It's not horrible. So.
And wherever you're going, you're making someone happy. You're delivering food.
Right, yeah. No,
there's a celebration.
It is an interesting place, yeah.
Yeah. Comfort food or whatever's going on, you're doing that, yeah. Who named you?
I'm named after my father's father, William O'Connor Brady.
Oh.
And I'm William Patrick Brady, although I think I lost my middle name when I was trying to get a passport.
Oh, geez.
Because I think I just didn't put it on. So I might be just William Brady now.
Isn't that something?
Will Brady, yeah.
Your grandfather. What is it that you like living where you do geographically?
I like the dense population.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dig it. And I especially like Bergen County, how it's the most populated of all
It is.
We're right here by New York City.
Right.
And I had my stuff in New York City for like 15 years, but I've been more comfortable doing like little, like Pete Rose hitting singles, just little hits.
Yeah.
Around Bergen County.
Bergen County.
Because
it's very interesting. What I find fascinating with Bergen County is there's almost 1 million of us here, but there's no large cities. We're all medium-sized cities like Hackensack or Fort Lee, but a lot of small towns interconnected.
Yeah.
And they all have their own kind of character and all that and everything. But you put us together, we're 1 million strong.
Yeah, the map. Yeah.
Wow. I love asking this question. For one day, if you had to be another animal other than a human being, Homo sapiens, what animal would you like to be inside that skin?
Maybe like a well-fed house dog that can go outside, or like maybe like a finch or a starling bird that hangs around dumpsters as long as you could fly.
Yeah. Dog or a bird?
Yeah.
Huh. Very, very, very good. Either now or in the past, what's your favorite TV show?
Oh, I love TV shows. I write them all down from the 80s. They had the Me TV. I used to like to watch Mama's Family.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was a decent show.
Right.
And Benson was 79 to 86.
Good, yeah.
Those. And, today it's like Big Bang Theory and King of Queens. Those are the newer ones.
Yeah,
but,
I like all of them, too.
Yeah,
Huh. Would you have a favorite music?
Now I just listen to, I put on classical just to calm down, and jazz, with no words. But, like I said, the Nas, Fish, Beck, Tool, Rush. Nowadays I'm not too particular, whatever's on. I just, even Z100. Yeah. I'll just.
It's kind of mood related too, right? Yeah. Great. And, do you have a favorite superhero?
I was never into comic books, so I never really got that. I was more garbage pail kid.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I grew up. I saw Return of the Jedi in the theater in '83. I can remember that.
Yep.
You know, but a superhero, maybe like Indiana Jones. I used to try to pretend I was Indiana Jones.
Yeah, nothing superhuman, but
Spielberg,
a hero. Yeah,
Spielberg. I
the
just
Spielberg
googled that
stuff.
guy. He was quite a guy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All those movies.
I'm hearing that little bit of that crossover between me, a boomer. I don't like that term. Baby boomer, and the Gen X. That crossover of
and I'm at the
culture.
tail end. That's what's interesting. I'm at the tail end because I'm almost a millennial.
Sure.
But I'm not quite because it's 65 to 80. Which someone made that up.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
wow, I'm kind of down to my last question. Where are you most comfortable? And I'll just preface that and say outside of like your home,
right?
You know,
you
your
mean
loved
a place?
Ones. Yeah, a place you're comfortable.
You know, I have to be in my own heart is where I'm most comfortable. What do they say? Like where he left his hat was his home.
Yeah.
Not that I'm a Rolling Stone because I'm but you know, as long as I'm comfortable with myself, I could be pretty much anywhere, which is the key.
I like that.
Yeah. So.
Hey, Will, you know I could go on all day.
Yeah.
But
very good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was great.
Okay, buddy.